Hi guys, this is Mr. Jesse again. I have to comment on what's going on. Amber Heard, rolling up again. Have to report on this because seriously, this is this is crazy. This whole new documentary that freaking these TV shows these channels are putting out on Amber and everything, trying to side with Amber. Why do they believe someone that actually lied on the stand? That there's no possibility that half of the things that she said, I mean, are the truth. I'm a survivor, and it's an insult to me and my intelligence. Okay? I mean, why did she have to tell the story about the dog stepping on a bee? What did that have anything to do with the case? First of all, okay? She didn't have to even go into that, okay? All right? The only time the dog was a part of this case was when she shitted on the bed. And she tried to blame the damn dog. And it was proven that it was her who did it because she even admitted to it, saying that it was a prank because she got mad at Johnny and that she came home from Coachella and did it. Okay? And let me tell you, when I go into NBC's freaking documentary saying that we're all in it for the money and stuff, news anchors, I'm not getting paid. I don't want to get paid. I'm on Johnny's side because I went through the same shit. When my brother lied about me. When my father lied about me. When my stepmother lied about me. And lied about the shit they did to me. And for you to say that I'm in it for the cash, no, I'm in it to warn people about Amber. Okay? And then she goes and tries to appeal and say, oh, there was one juror. She's picking at straws. Okay, people? She's looking for attention. And I'm happy the judge saw through this little charade and said, no. Hell no. Seriously. Sorry.
Let's go.
Seriously. And I hope this is true. But oh my God. I'm right here with it. I'm right here. How is there no signal? I'm right next to it. I'm not even 5 feet away from this thing. Well, Viral Vision just said Amber Heard was arrested. Amber Heard arrested after being found guilty for perjury. Now, everyone's backing a perjurer. If this is true. Let me first do this. Okay? You'll hear it, not see it, because of the fact that I don't know how to do mirror with this damn thing.
If you're a fan or supporter of Amber Heard, then you must feel pretty bad for her right now. Because in the course of a month, she lost a high-profile case against her ex-husband in Johnny Depp. Must now go and cough up $8.35 million to him. Her reputation is in shambles. Her career in Hollywood is likely over due to no one really wanting to hire her for a part. And when she did an interview about everything that happened, it was a ratings flop. So you'd think that there couldn't be anything left for her to go through, right? Wrong. Very wrong, in fact. She might not even be done with her suffering as of yet. We'll break it down for you. But before we do that, go ahead and do us a favor by leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Number 4, perjury in Australia.
We're starting this hour with some news about a perjury investigation involving Amber Heard in Australia. Now, this all dates back to 2015 when Heard illegally brought her 2 teacup Yorkies that she shared with Johnny Depp. Their names were Pistol and Boo, into the country. And this has been...
She would know about illegal pet shit because of the fact that her father did illegal pit bull dog fighting rings, okay? So this is normal for her, okay? To do shit illegal with animals. Let's go on.
Bandied about on the internet quite a bit.
Oh, advertisements, I hate them. I hate them, I hate them.
The dogs were brought into the country and were not quarantined properly as they should have been.
To show how Amber Heard might be in trouble once again, you have to go back to one of her most infamous incidents. You might recall that during Johnny Depp's time filming Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, he had Amber Heard with him.
And there are some emails floating around out there where Amber Heard was actually asking her assistant and some other people, hey, can we find a vet we can grease to, fudge some paperwork?
And she smuggled some dogs.
She admitted, and the people around her admitted that they brought the dogs in Australia illegally. She knew that they were going, that what she was doing was wrong, but she did it anyway because of, she thought, oh, I'll get away with it because of who I am. She's not a big shot like Johnny. She's only a big shot because she was associated and married to Johnny.
That she wasn't supposed to have due to laws in Australia where they were filming. She got out of it by blaming Johnny and others, and in court, she tried to make it clear that none of it was her fault.
And she likes to blame other people than herself, as you will soon hear. And it's not, and she has a pattern of doing this, okay?
Fault.
So this was a big deal when it happened in Australia because Australia has some very, very serious rules about bringing animals into the country and the length of time they'd have to be quarantined. So this all happened back in March of 2015 when Johnny Depp was filming Pirates of the Caribbean 5 in Australia.
Except in the UK libel case and the defamation case, things were brought to light that made it clear that things were her fault and that she lied under oath.
And it's the same time of that whole Australia incident we heard so much about where Johnny Depp's finger, at least part of it, was cut off. So
fast forward to very recently, and in Australia, one of the senates that was in charge of this line of rule breaking took a question about Amber Heard and her perjury status, and they admitted that they were indeed investigating the issue. Not something Heard wants to hear.
And they would only say for the third time now that they are indeed investigating allegations of perjury against Amber Heard, but that they cannot make any further comment because the investigation is ongoing, and it's been ongoing for some time.
The woman who spoke at the event noted that lying under oath was a crime in various ways, and there was testimony that came from the UK case that seemed to prove that she was indeed lying under oath. To be clear, there is no timetable on the investigation or what it might mean for Heard in terms of getting arrested or not. Plus, given that Heard is in the US, it's doubtful the country will force her to come down under so that she can be tried.
Let's take a look at a video that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard released back in 2016. And this is where they actually apologized to the country of Australia for bringing in Pistol and Boo illegally.
Australia is a wonderful island with a treasure trove of unique plants, animals, and people.
It has to be protected.
Australia is free of many pests and diseases that are commonplace around the world. That is why Australia has to have such strong biology.
If you watch this video of her saying all this, Johnny's barely speaking. He's just trying to copy her, to back her up like a good boyfriend and husband would do, while she's lying out her ass. You can tell that she was reading from a script.
Biosecurity laws.
And Australians are just as unique, both warm and direct. When you disrespect Australian law, they will tell you firmly.
I am truly sorry that Pistol and Boo were not declared. Protecting Australia is important.
Declare everything when you enter Australia.
But the fact that this is an option at all is something she has to worry about, especially if other perjury accounts are put to her, which was suggested multiple times in regards to the LAPD who were largely involved in the various spats that Heard and Depp had. It also should be noted that on social media, Amber Heard made fun of the incident as a whole, clearly thinking that she would get away with it. But now you have to wonder if she actually will get away with it. Number 3, the email.
So this has been discussed publicly quite a bit. It's very interesting. There was a clip, we're going to show it to you right now. This is from late last year, and this is from the Senate Rural and Regional Affairs and Transport Legislation Committee. And they were discussing and being questioned about why in the world this investigation is taking so long.
What is there to hide, and why is it taking so long? That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
In fact, do I need to have a Senate inquiry on it?
No. There's nothing to hide. It is an active investigation. Senator,
I know it's a damn
It's about, on this one,
Can it take 12 months? How can it take 12 months? We know the evidence that was there. In they came, the celebrities thought that they're above Australia's biosecurity laws. And we know Barnaby Joyce, or Minister Joyce, had his little meltdown, and good on him. Okay, whatever.
But wait, that's not the only thing being put against Amber Heard. An email regarding the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case has been leaked, containing information about the 2016 event when the police visited Depp's penthouse after responding to a DV call. A lot has been going around ever since the high-profile defamation trial ended. While the Pirates of the Caribbean star went out to celebrate the victory, Heard spoke about the disappointment she faced after
another
the
ad
movie was
coming
out.
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app on my phone.
I don't
While
care.
talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, an email between Depp's legal team, Adam Waldman, Ben Chu, and Camille Vasquez, is going viral. The
It
mail
says here, 8H to me, October 11, 2015. Kevin, what do you think? Could you possibly reach out for us? Do you think you could get her to do it? Sent from my iPhone. Begin forwarded message from Austin Kari. October 11th, 2015 at 4:50 p.m. GMT +1. To Martin Singer. Carbon copy AH. Jonathan Klein. Subject attorney privilege Heard. Statement current draft. Indeed. Sent from my iPhone. October 11th, 2015. Martin Singer. Amber, if you look at my email below on October.
is allegedly about a conversation between Adam and JD's friend Josh Drew about the time when the cops were called to the actor's house over domestic AB claims in 2016 by Heard.
No, this is cut and dry. What's taking so long?
Yeah,
well,
it's
Senator,
definitely cut and dry.
it's only cut
She
and dry
lied.
if we can get a conviction, and we can only get a conviction if we work with our partners at the AFP and the Director of Public Prosecutions and with international partners. As much as we might like to pursue this matter, we have to go in the queue behind all the other matters that those organisations are dealing with and that our international partners are dealing with. But I think you can take it as read that, as Mr. Timpson's outlined, we're pursuing the matter and we don't intend to go away on it. We will continue to pursue it.
The email mentioned that Amber Heard called Josh Drew's ex-wife, Raquel Rocky Pennington, not the martial artist, to help with a berserk Johnny Depp was a lie, and they waited to ambush him. It further detailed Amber Heard's extramarital relationship with Elon Musk and stated that they were into some kinky things. Obviously, this email could bring various things into question, not the least of which is further proving the theory that Amber Heard has been lying about this whole thing and that she was using her friends to try and set up Johnny for a domestic AB charge. However, we do need to note here that this email hasn't been verified, and it wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to fake if you knew the proper information.
Yeah.
If it is true, this is going to further turn people against Amber Heard.
And really the key here is that there was testimony in the UK trial back in 2020 from a house manager named Kevin Murphy, and his testimony completely contradicted Amber Heard's account of how this whole thing happened. And Kate James, we heard from her during the 2022 trial in Virginia. We heard from her, and she had released some documents stating how upset she was because Amber Heard apparently blamed her.
Because they're going to see her and those who tried to support her during this whole situation as frauds, and they might just be that. Do recall that in the defamation trial, she was found guilty of defamation, with one of the jurors in that case coming forward and stating that many of Amber Heard's statements didn't add up at all. They also discounted both Depp and Heard's friendly witnesses because they knew that they would likely cancel each other out, and they honestly did. So all in all, when you add these two new incidents, the wide array of things that have been alleged about Heard since she lost the trial, things are indeed pretty tense. Sadly for her, it's not over by a long shot. Number 2, verdicts and appeals. The judge overseeing the defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard finalized the verdict in the case on the 24th.
Yes, what I think is they are proceeding with the investigation, and that they probably waited for the trial that we had recently to finish so that they can use some of those evidence as well. Of course, I'm just speculating here, but like what that senator said, what is taking so long? And when international partners he mentioned are concerned, those take time because Amber Heard is here in the United States, so she's probably not going to visit Australia anytime soon with that perjury investigation charges,
sealing off any possibility of the two actors reaching a last-minute settlement. A representative for Heard indicated she plans to appeal the verdict. She has now less than 30 days to file a notice of appeal. If you recall, the jury took his side in all 3 of his claims against Heard and granted him $10 million in compensatory damages and an additional $5 million in punitive damages. They gave her just 1 victory out of her 3 counterclaims and granted her $2 million in compensatory damages. Judge Penny Escarte, who presided over the 6-week trial in Fairfax County, Virginia, didn't enter the jury verdict into the docket immediately. Instead, she said Depp and Heard had until June 24th to come up with a settlement, which she would enter instead of the verdict. If they failed to reach a settlement, the jury verdict would stand. They didn't reach one, so it has. End of story? Not quite. In a contentious back and forth with Escarte, Heard's main attorney, Elaine Bredehoff, sought to set a briefing schedule and more for a proposed appeal for her client.
But what's interesting is now there are 2 trials where the Australian government can use the testimonies from several witnesses and also assess Amber Heard's credibility. And as we all know, here in the 2022 trial, her credibility was significantly damaged.
Exactly.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready?
Escarte bluntly told Bredehoff that if she wanted to appeal the verdict from the 7-person jury, the lawyer would have to file motions with the court. Escarte also informed Heard's attorney that the Aquaman star will have to put up an $8.35 million bond with 6% interest per year for any appeal to formally move forward. What that means is simple. In total, and after certain amounts were revised, Amber Heard owes Johnny Depp $8.35 million due to the verdict amounts. If she wants to try and appeal it, she actually has to put up the money to ensure that she can pay it, else not get the appeal at all. This is bad for Amber Heard for all sorts of reasons, because as many people close to her have noted, Amber can't pay the amount because she's either broke or bankrupt, or considering writing a tell-all book to make money, or even being up for selling things like property and cars. Also, she can get the money together, but whether she actually does that is up in the air. There's also the chance that Depp might not enforce the money payment. However, given that Heard has under a month to file an appeal, he might just wait until after that's done.
It most certainly was, if not obliterated. I mean, the jury didn't believe her. They awarded Johnny Depp damages on every claim. Or they found in his favor on every claim.
And not enforce it so that she can't appeal. And he comes off looking like a bunch of roses. Number 1, what can Amber do? That's a good question. And right, there are no easy answers for her. because the path many expect her to take is to go and get the money so she can file the appeal. But again, that's not a guarantee. Her other option is to let it go and try and move on, which is something Heard said she wanted to do in the trial. Except due to her position and the way people are talking about her, that might not be an option at all for her. No matter how you look at it though, Amber Heard is in some serious trouble, and whether you love her or hate her, the path to get through all of this will be hard indeed. And there you have it, everyone, a look at the situation with Amber Heard and how her legal troubles might not be quite over just yet. Do you think that any of these new issues will come back to haunt her in the long run?
Yes.
Or do you think that given...
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, it's gonna bite her in the ass. Because she keeps opening her mouth and blah, 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 blah. Okay. She needs to stop and just look at her life and say, is this all worth it? Amber Heard exposed by insurance agency for trying to manipulate media. I mean, seriously. Let's go into Papa Plan. Okay.
Ignore it, guys. I need your help exposing the mainstream media yet again. NBC News last night debuted a news documentary entitled A Marriage on Trial, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and Truth in the Age of Social Media. And guess who they featured, guys? Popcorn Planet, Lara B, me. We made an appearance on NBC News last night. Oh my goodness, my parents are going to be so excited. Let's hear the mainstream media be honest and tell us the truth. Here we go. Let's see how we were brought into this.
You also had segments of YouTube that had never covered anything even close to this trial, all of a sudden pivoting, people going from fewer than 100,000 subscribers to over 500,000 subscribers in a matter of weeks. I really don't know anything about this.
Wait, what? Did she just say what I think she said? Did she just tell me that I was...
You also had segments of YouTube that had never covered anything even close to this trial.
Clearly you don't watch our channel. And weirdly enough, Kat, you spoke to me. That's weird. The person who's speaking is actually Kat Tenbarge, who is the NBC Tech and Culture reporter. Now, I know you didn't edit this documentary. I hope you didn't suggest me when they asked, well, which places should we cover? We've had a few back and forths. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you didn't do it. But as I recall, we had a conversation. In fact...
Well, is it okay if I record just for transcription purposes?
Yeah, we can totally record it. It's fine.
Awesome.
Awesome indeed. Because you know what, Kat? I'm kind of getting sick of this narrative you're putting out there. This idea that you are better than us. And I'm over it. Kat, if you're unfamiliar with her, it's an NBC. Please leave her alone. Let me say my piece, just like she's been trying to say her piece. Let me tell you a little bit about this Kat Tenbarge before we get to my clips to prove the truth about her thoughts on this case. Here she is calling out Emily, Legal Bites, Nick, for making money on covering the trial. Now, I could speak for these people in that I did the same thing, that I watched this trial every day. We were doing the research. We were doing a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and we were happy to do it, and we were all very informed. And honestly, these three were probably even more informed than me because they're lawyers, okay? And they were choosing to cover for people, and yes, they took tips, and yes, they watched, and yes, people tuned in. A lot of people tuned in because this was a very interesting case. Now, she was out there calling this out. Taylor Lorenz and others have been calling her out. Taylor is a friend, I guess, of Kat because they mentioned her a lot. In fact, here are some tweets Kat put out there about the misinformation campaign because, you know, the Washington Post has not been dishonest at all. Right?
Exactly.
Let's look at this article that featured. Oh, wait, editor's note. Correction. No, the lies. that Taylor Lorenz did in this article in the Washington Post. Let's not also forget the Washington Post, which posted the defamatory op-ed in the first place and still has it up. The Washington Post, who has monetized on both of these pieces, and we have no idea how much they've made. But no. Let's put our outrage on YouTubers and the money they're making. Why? Are you threatened, Kat? It sure looks that way to me. But no, Kat's out there talking about what she's learned. The media literacy around this trial was abhorrent, as was that documentary that apparently on your network, the mainstream media you trust just lied about me, Kat. Are you going to offer a correction? Are they going to go edit that? Can I sue for defamation? I don't like my site being featured in there. Did you? Who told them? Should we find out? Because let's talk about the media literacy here. You keep going on. As Adam Waldman testified, YouTubers and social media played an overwhelming role in the perception of this trial. He testified in that internet journalists actually were reporting the truth, which is what they were. Washington Post wasn't. You weren't. You were focused on your own little reports. In fact, I got proof of them. We're going to get there in a second. But people consume the news from content creators, specifically news around this case, believe it more trustworthy than the mainstream media. I wonder why. Because the UK case, everything else, was all corrupt. We're going to talk about all that in a second. All right, so here she is trying to just go through and pitfall going to YouTubers. The coverage is that these creators aren't beholden to any editorial standards or journalistic norms. In fact, they're incentivized to break them to fit the narrative and make money. Now, I assume this is why she didn't want to put me in her piece, the piece that she wrote here, talking about how YouTube creators are pivoting their video. When she spoke to me, I enlightened her on a lot of topics, and she chose to ignore me. Why? Because she knew this was bullshit for all the major creators out there. She just knew it. She had to focus on some outlier creators that, yes, as I even admitted to her, yeah, there was a bunch of channels that just suddenly started posting montages or had one viral clip. But let's talk about the real coverage, right? If you really want to cover the news that competed with you, right, the two people to talk to are all the people in this picture right now. And Law and Crime, which is a YouTube channel that didn't even offer commentary. If you actually watched the views of all the people online, these three, plus Law and Crime, plus me, were the top 5 networks covering the Johnny Depp trial. Okay? So you spoke to one of them. You spoke to somebody who not only covered it, but you spoke to somebody who's been in this space, I suspect, longer than you have. And you spoke to me. We had a nice conversation. I was giving you the benefit of that, Kat. But I continue to see you out there. I see you now and others in this documentary, which we're going to go through live. I want to break down this whole documentary.
A lot of times, jurors, whether male or
this
female,
lawyers against Elaine is their witness. What?
She cried. What's wrong with these people?
She didn't cry.
She didn't cry.
TikTok, and there wasn't
TikTok.
This trial.
We had the people on magazine who's been anti-Johnny.
The judge would instruct them each night not to do any additional research.
This is a long proceeding spanning 2 months. I just think it's unrealistic to think that the jurors stayed off of social media.
And once you're on them, you can't avoid it.
This
monster
of alcohol.
So we're going to come back to Doha. But this, Elaine, everybody's saying, oh, well, the jury, they went on the internet. Elaine's also saying on NBC News, ironically, well, there's all this evidence that we didn't get to put in, that the legal team prohibited, including Amber's doctor notes. So, Elaine, which is it? Because by your standards, there was evidence that the jurors could go and look online that would make Amber innocent, right? I thought it was a mountain of evidence, right? All this evidence, the UK trial, which you weren't allowed to talk about, her winning, all of that stuff would be stuff the jurors would see online. You can't have it both ways. And all these people are spinning you a false narrative that the internet tricked the case. Whether the jury was on or not, they had the opportunity to see both sides of the case. And I believe they chose to do the right thing. And even if someone did go online, they had equal opportunity to see Amber's side online, just like they did Johnny's. So this is nonsense. But here you have senior breaking news reporter, NBC. You want to see how biased this senior news reporter is?
Algorithms at play, where even if you've never followed Amber Heard or Johnny Depp, you were inundated on your social media feeds with aspects of this trial.
And so the way that people got so much of the action from the courtroom was through these videos on social media platforms.
TikTok just went crazy. The ability to do short films, mocking someone or giving your opinion about something is what TikTok is, and they certainly did.
They did.
Of what's aimed at Miss Heard is something remarkable. Can you imagine being a survivor and seeing the mockery that she's endured?
if you actually watched it live on YouTube, there's a live feed. And every comment I saw while I was watching it for 6 weeks were pro-death.
So I love this. So if you're mocking her, you're mocking all victims now is what they're trying to tell you. Also, if you watched it live, you actually watched the trial. Oh my God, they're all just biased towards Johnny Depp. So if you do the homework, or you do the homework and then you mock the person who's caught lying, who a jury found caught lying, we're all the bad people here is what this is. So this whole documentary was insane. I do want to mention one other moment here. Here's the senior breaking correspondent reacting. Oh no, it's live. She's the breaking reporter. And she's doing an interview as this is all happening, and she's ill-informed to it all.
13 hours, verdict delivered, delayed. He won. Okay.
Look how pissed she is.
That's gonna be an interesting fallout for a lot of domestic abuse survivors.
Oh, there it is. No, clearly didn't
No,
watch
it's
the trial.
not fallout for any
This is your
domestic
breaking
abuse
news
survivor.
correspondent at NBC, reacting because she's too busy
It's actually
doing
good
interview
for the male
NBC's
community.
documentary, so she can give you her biased reaction. I can't even. These people are. This is why we don't trust you. You want to call me biased? Hello, look in the mirror, ladies. What are you doing? So let's go back to Kat. Who apparently, again.
You also had segments of YouTube that had never covered anything even close to this trial.
Okay, that's a lie. I'm going to say you didn't edit it. I hope you didn't give them the clips. But let's talk about Kat, right? Because Kat put this piece out talking about how we're all pivoting. She focused on these outliers. She interviewed people like me, and she got me on the phone. She's been anti-us for a long time. She's been against us for a long time, as I've sort of shown here, as Taylor's articles, etc. She's even out doing interviews now. She's making this all about herself. She clearly wants to be a social media influencer and a news person. And that's what I sense is there's a little bit of jealousy. That's my take. But let's break down this interview. Now,
Let's assume her reactions to what
there's no
Adam
trickery.
Sigmund
I'll watch the
says.
full video with you today live, along with more portions of that NBC mockumentary later today in our live. In fact, before we play these clips, I hope you will consider subscribing because, yes, we do keep it real. And they're nervous of us. Hit the bell so you get alerted. Smash the like so you can help get the engagement. Share this video and leave a comment down below on your thoughts so far, as well as what your thoughts are on this Kat interview that I'm about to drop. So here we are. Here she is interviewing me, okay?
So going into sort of like your channel now, what led you to create Popcorn Planet, and what would you describe the channel as?
Now, I answered this question and explained it more, my background, my false accusation, etc., why I was invested. I gave her a lot of big answers, but I wanted to just show you the end of my answer rather than all my long answers. For myself, and with that fresh perspective, I wanted to just be more real about, I think, the media's coverage of things, because I don't believe the media is always being honest. And so Popcorn Planet sort of grew, in the voice of it, I think, has grown over time, of just sort of, whatever the pop culture events are of the moment, we try to cover it with a more real perspective without any sort of fear of what the studios or, certain people are going to think. We want to just keep it honest and raw, but also fair and civil and respectful.
That makes a lot of sense. And so with the trial and your coverage of it, would you say that this is getting more traction than the other things that you cover on the channel?
I mean, I think Will Smith's Slapgate got a lot of coverage. I mean, the Gabby Petito case back in the fall got a lot of coverage. I mean, it depends. There's pop culture goes up and down. There are huge moments in pop culture fandom. Tiger King was huge last year. I mean, or 2 years ago, whatever it was. There's always those water cooler moments. And I think instead of TV shows now, it's events and big, pop culture moments now, because with streaming, we lose that ability to watch it all at the same time. And I think the Johnny Depp trial has become, in a weird way, the best Netflix show, on TV right now, where I think everyone is just really engrossed. And I think a lot of people were ignorant to the reality of the case. And I think we're shrugging off as, oh, they're both crazy. But when as someone who's covered this trial for a while, I'm not just following Johnny as a stan. I'm following Johnny because of the evidence. I think Amber is a terrible person. I don't believe her, and I'm happy others are finally seeing her lies and what she's been caught in. And so I think it's been a whirlwind of a lot of reasons why I think this has caught the world's attention. But sure, I mean, is there a lot of people tuned in, absolutely. But I think it's for some good causes.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
And as somebody who has been on YouTube for a long time and like really knows the ins and outs of YouTube, do you think that there's anything like unusual or particularly interesting that stands out to you about this moment, or maybe even just like the trajectory of how these big entertainment events kind of like capture entire platforms in conversation?
I mean, I think this is the first time we've had a like world celebrity, famous man acknowledge that he was abused.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, on my channel, we have a lot of domestic violence survivors. My audience is mostly women now, and they really connect to him and they feel for him because we've had streams where DV survivors are sharing their experiences, and it's making me they make me cry, and their genuineness, the realness. And I think Amber Heard is really acting, and I think she's not being honest. I think it's triggering a lot of people who are watching to see that men can go through this too. Mm-hmm. I think we went through the Me Too movement, which was incredibly important, but I think was, you know, completely one-sided at times, where we weren't really sort of looking at both sides fairly and focusing on due process. We focus sometimes on the social media mob instead of what happened and the nuances of what happened. And so I think this case has been, I think there's been a lot of bottled up things of people wanting to really get to the bottom of real cases and not just what the media. I mean, this case is so corrupt. I mean, the leader of Time's Up was caught. Just remember, wait for her response. Remember everything I'm saying here. Bring up Cuomo's victims. She was repping Amber Heard. Like, if you really go deep in this case, I think a lot of people are just angry and fed up. And I think Johnny, while many may criticize him for exposing all this, I think he had to. If he hadn't have done this, the media and just most people would have just written him off as what Amber painted him. And I think it's much more complicated, and Amber is a lot more guilty than she wants to admit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And so that's a very good, I think, like overall take on the situation. So I'm grateful for your sort of like description of that.
Oh, it's a good take. Did you guys hear that? Kat agreed with me. Definitely, yes. That's a really good take on things. Just that alone torches your girl. Where do you stand? Because on Twitter, and you've told me privately, it seems you're an Amber Heard supporter. You believe her, even now. I don't understand it. But yet you just tricked me? You're like trying to get me to play along? Is that how the media does this? You're not honest in your reporting? Yeah, definitely. Huh? That's a great take. Can you believe that? That was the reality of the phone call I had. A couple more portions. Like Amber Heard assumed the media and the world would just believe and support her, like it always has. And I think a lot of people are finally refreshed to see that it's not going the way she thought it would, that she is being exposed for not being honest.
Yes. Yeah.
Her truth is being it's not about her truth, it's about the truth. And I think we've heard too many stories about my truth and your truth and whatever. There's a truth, and there's audio tapes, and there's evidence, and it's really starting to make the picture quite clear that Amber Heard is not being honest.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And those were pretty much all of the questions I had related to sort of like the algorithm and the topic at hand.
Sorry, one more port here. Pooped in a bed. It's hard to not laugh at that. It's kind of hard to not laugh and just go to the craziness of some of these things when Amber Heard pooped on Johnny Depp's bed.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true.
That's definitely true.
Awesome. Okay, well, these were all of the questions that I had. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Let me just wrap up. No, happy to help. I hope I'll check it out. No problem. She's continued to put this narrative out there that we can't be trusted. Well, I thought I could trust you. Now, granted, you didn't put my interview out there. Okay, you didn't misquote me. Okay, NBC News just did. They did on a pretty global scale. This is pretty damning.
YouTube that had never covered anything even close to this trial.
I mean, that doesn't make me happy. And you're also out there as a talking head in this.
People going from fewer than 100,000 subscribers to over 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah, because we did good reporting. Are you okay with something else, Kat? I'm done with this.
Are
Stop
you
calling us
getting
out. We're gonna
jealous
call you out back.
that we're getting
And we keep
more
receipts.
people
This
than
is
you?
ridiculous. And I've offered you on the channel. I've tried to have a conversation with her.
It
You
says
don't want to have
jealous.
conversations.
Says
Why?
jealousy.
Kat,
Jealousy.
please, if I'm incorrect or you want to clarify something, open invite. Hit me up. You have my DMs. It's open. I've tried to get you on the show. I've tried to, guys. She doesn't want to. Taylor, I've tried to with her. I'd love to have conversations. I'll have conversations. They don't want to have conversations. Which media outlet do you want to trust? The one that's going to let someone actually call in, anybody call in to share their point of view, or the one that's going to just be in a little bubble telling you their report and their biases? Because that's why they're coming to us, because they can get to know us. They do trust me more than you. And I'm sorry if that offends you or threatens you in any way, but I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to call it out when I see it, and you just got called out. And I'm sick of this narrative you're pumping out there, trying to encourage and shame us like we shouldn't be monetized. In fact, you want to show Kat and others the wrong way? Hit that super thanks below. There's a super thanks. You can monetize this crap. How about my Cash App? It's money sign at Andy Signor. This is a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, and I know a lot of you appreciate it. So thank you for supporting us and putting your money where you want to watch. That's how it works. That's how it's going to work in the future. You do you, Kat. I'm going to do me. How about you focus on you moving forward and leave us alone? Because you're not the story. But you want to make us the story. I don't know why. But that's my take. We're going to watch the full interview today live. If you never caught a live, please join us. We're going to hear it live every weekday. It's going to be awesome today. We got a lot to go through. That NBC mockumentary as well as more of Kat's full interview. You're not going to miss it. I'll put a link there to join us on our stream today. It'll be a little later, probably around 3:30 p.m. Join us then, please, guys, and stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet.
That is so funny. Freaking NBC just got called out. Trying to. Where's the watch lid? There we go. This goes. I don't know why they don't put the new on top. Oh, come on. Dude, go. Amber defeated again. Court denies post-trial motion. And this is by Simon Shotgun.
At Domino's, we are all about variety. Pizza and oven-baked sandwiches, delicious.
Yeah, if they would only deliver to my
channel
townhouse.
If it helps you understand
No,
more.
this is
So
Black
you are probably
Belt
aware,
Barista.
particularly if you've got a vested interest in this case, and it would in any event otherwise be difficult to escape the fact that Amber Heard tried to get this jury verdict set aside. Yes, Amber Heard asked the court, would you please set aside the jury verdict on the basis of some alleged discrepancies with juror 15? And the court said, no, the answer is you cannot. So today we are going to take a little look through that order, denying the motion that this verdict be set aside, and why, if the reasons were not already obvious. And spoiler alert, I for one am pleased that this argument has been brought to a halt and the judge has come to a sensible ruling. So let's take a look at this order.
I agree.
It reads, this cause came before this court upon defendant Amber Laura Heard's post-trial motions. Of course, those post-trial motions be to attempt to set aside the jury verdict. After review of the defendant's post-trial motions, plaintiff's opposition, and the relevant statutes and case law, it is therefore ordered as follows. Defendant Amber Laura Heard's post-trial motions 1 through 6 are denied for the reasons stated on the record. Defendant Amber Laura Heard's post-trial motion 7 is likewise denied for the reasons outlined below. The purpose of the voir dire is to obtain a fair and impartial jury. Just pausing there for a moment, I know I've explained this in previous videos, but a voir dire is like a trial within a trial. It is a mini trial of issues to make a determination done by the judge because they want to decide certain things, and in this case, It's the impaneling of a jury. So this reads, the purpose of the voir dire is to obtain a fair and impartial jury. Voir dire is necessary to ascertain whether any juror has any interest in the case or any bias or prejudice in relation to it, and that he in fact stands indifferent in the cause. That is just a long-winded way of saying the jury is going to be fair, impartial, not have any preconceived ideas, not have any relations to the case or people involved, any prejudice or any other reason that they're going to be unfair in the verdict that they come to. We read on. The summons issued to juror 15 listed in his legal name and address, and no birth date was noted. So just pausing there again, this was a significant point because one of the arguments was about the birth date on the jury panel that was argued over and over again. But the court noted here that the summons issued to juror 15 was in his name, to his address, and didn't note any date of birth. So arguably, if two people live at the same address with the same name at the same address, of course, but obviously, unless they're twins, have different dates of birth, that would make a difference. But for the fact that this summons did not have a date of birth noted, we read on. The court has pulled juror 15's jury questionnaire attached as redacted, filed under seal. Juror 15 completed the jury questionnaire as himself, filling in his proper birth date. The information presented on the jury questionnaire matches the information juror 15 provided to the court. Juror 15 was vetted by the court on the record and met the statutory requirements for service. Again, this was important because, as for all of the reasons I've said, and echoing what I've said before,
after the juror now.
I told you so, it didn't make any difference whether or not this was the correct person intended, or whether there was an argument as to whether it was the correct person intended. This particular juror filled in this questionnaire, filled in the information, was vetted by the court, and met the statutory requirements for service on the jury. The parties also questioned the jury panel for a full day and informed the court that the jury panel was acceptable. Again, pausing because this was important because that was their opportunity to object, and they didn't. Therefore, due process was guaranteed and provided to all parties in this litigation. Voir dire was conducted in a fair and impartial manner with the court and both parties examining the potential jurors. There is no evidence of fraud or wrongdoing. Again, pausing to, I suppose, say I told you so, that there would be no wrongdoing in this process because they would have gone through, they did go through all of the correct procedure to vet the jury, to vet each member. They had the full day of questioning and this whole process, this voir dire process, to ensure that both sides were essentially happy with the jury and every member that was sitting on it. Therefore, just for emphasis, the court rules there is no evidence of fraud or wrongdoing. We read on. Further, the defendant was provided the jury list 5 days prior to the commencement of the trial and knew or should have known about the mistake at any time during the 7-week pendency of this trial. Again, pausing there and again echoing something that I've already said, they had a long opportunity to complain about this jury or any one member of the jury and didn't. So this is again the court echoing things that I've already said. She had every opportunity to object to or voir dire on the issue. Again, voir dire being that little mini trial, this legal word for a trial within a trial. So if you get to any point within a trial that you think we need to address this very point, this is an issue that's arisen, we need to decide on it, everything else stops and we have this little mini trial within a trial called a voir dire, which is essentially exactly that, a testing of the facts, the hearing of evidence, the testing of the evidence. Judge makes a decision. That decision is then
just don't want to pay
the case. The voir dire is over, and on we go with the main case, and that's how that works.
So she's stalling.
It didn't happen. Parties generally must make objections at the time a ruling or order is made to put the court on notice that an issue is meant to be preserved. Despite defendant's assertions in footnote 9 of her motion, Virginia Code clearly states an error in the information shown on such copy of the jury panel shall not be grounds for a mistrial or assignable as error of appeal, and the parties in the case shall be responsible for verifying the accuracy of such information, noting the embolding of certain words here for emphasis. The court quite clearly emphasizing the burden upon the parties to be responsible for verifying the accuracy of the information, and tied in together with the whole notion under the code that any error in this information is not grounds for a mistrial or assignable as error on appeal. Consequently, defendant as well as plaintiff had an affirmative obligation to ensure the accuracy of the information provided for the jury panel. The party cannot wait until receiving an adverse verdict to object for the first time on an issue known since the beginning of the trial. The issue has been waived. Again, echoing not just my comments, but those of Johnny Depp's lawyers, which is that this has been within their knowledge for the whole time. They cannot simply wait till the very end and say, actually, we don't like the verdict because of this one thing that we could have mentioned earlier on but didn't. We're mentioning it now and therefore want the jury verdict tossed. That's not how it works. Reading on. Even if, arguendo, for the sake of arguing, the objection has not been waived, objections to any alleged discrepancies in juror lists and any legal disabilities of potential jurors must be made in accordance with the Virginia Code. That section provides, in relevant part, unless objection to such irregularity or disability is made pursuant to subsection A herein, and unless it appears that the irregularity was intentional or that the irregularity or disability be such as to probably cause injustice in a civil case to the party making the objection, then such irregularity or disability shall not be cause for summoning a new panel or juror, or for setting aside a verdict or granting a new trial. In other words, the court is saying, for the sake of argument, even if parties have not waived their objections, any objections to alleged discrepancies in the jury list must be made in accordance with this rule, which requires that unless it is an irregularity that was intentional, i.e. there was an intentional irregularity, or some other kind of irregularity that is going to cause an injustice, or probably going to cause an injustice in the civil case to the party making the objection, then the irregularity shall not be cause for a new jury, new panel, or for setting aside a verdict or granting a new trial. So again, simplifying even further, if they hadn't waived their objections, any objection must be that the information was either intentionally wrong or it was probably going to cause an injustice. And since it wasn't, they couldn't use it in any event. Furthermore, while parties must make this objection while following the above procedure, the party moving under this code section must provide some evidence of prejudice. Pausing for dramatic effect. Evidence of prejudice. To be frank, there is none. There is no evidence of prejudice at all. Evidence of prejudice would be something along the lines of proof that a juror has got some connection to somebody, been persuaded by somebody, was somehow wrongly sitting on the jury, has been researching the case, has been tipped off for information they shouldn't have had, any other kind of reason or something that would give rise to some kind of prejudice. There simply wasn't anything of that nature whatsoever, and it was simply an argument that it was the wrong person. But that in itself, in accordance with the code, was simply not enough. Defendant has neither followed the proper procedure nor shown evidence of prejudice. Basically what I just said. Defendant does not allege Juror 15's inclusion on the jury prejudiced her in any way. The jury was vetted, sat for the entire jury, deliberated, and reached a verdict. The only evidence before this court is that this juror and all jurors followed their oaths, the court's instructions, and orders. This court is bound by the competent decision of the jury. And there is a footnote with an authority, which is Yellow Cab Court of Abington and Henderson of 1941. And interestingly, the footnote also says that noting that possibilities of prejudice are not sufficient to overturn a jury verdict, and the orderly administration of justice should not be overturned absent a clear showing of prejudice. And so again, in yet simpler terms, this authority provides that it is not sufficient that there is just a possibility of prejudice arising from this juror on any argument that they brought forward. It is not sufficient that simply a possibility of prejudice would overturn a verdict. There needs to be a clear showing of prejudice. In other words, evidence. There needs to be evidence that there was some kind of prejudice, evidence that the overall jury deliberation was somehow compromised by this one juror, by whatever evidence that they had to show. which of course they didn't. There wasn't any evidence at all of even a possibility of prejudice, much less a clear showing of prejudice underpinned by evidence. And so ultimately, this request to set aside the verdict was denied. As many orders do, they provide the decision first and then the reasoning afterwards. So this just provides that the post-trial motions are denied for all the reasons stated therein. And interestingly, and although it's been redacted for obvious reasons because the jury have been sealed for 1 year, the jury questionnaire, which was filled out by each member of the jury, which provided that this juror was self-employed as an IT management in his occupation. So this juror, as the order refers, simply filled out this jury questionnaire, dutifully turned up for jury service, checked all the boxes, that they were a United States citizen, being resident for the last 12 months, and so on. All of these things vetted by the court. The court went through the process to make sure they're not disqualified to sit on the jury, to make sure there's no other reason that they shouldn't sit on a jury, and of course went through the whole process where each side had the opportunity to object and to question whether or not that juror was to be on the jury. And ultimately that process was full and fair, and there was no reason here to suspect any kind of prejudice, much less sufficient to overturn the verdict. And so, as I said in several previous videos, but certainly one on July 9th that I can look at right now, which I will link in the description, this motion has been denied. So you can pop along now to watch what I said before this ruling came out in the video linked below, and in the meantime, thank you for watching.
So Amber can't say, oh, blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. I mean, come on. She was denied and laughed out of fucking court because of it. Because she's trying everything in her power to not pay Johnny.
Mom decided to eat here because Sheets for the Kids helps kids in need. But if she loves kids so much, why would she give you a salad? They have fries here. Sheets for the Kids. Why does
Michelle Gunn here, and Amber Heard is having a really, really tough time right now. Or in other words, she is suffering from a classic case of karma.
I'm sitting up
coming
in
on back around
Twitter
to
just like
you right in the ass.
Good.
I mean, seriously, as you watch this video, she's probably in a corner somewhere, crying. None of you all could possibly imagine what it feels like to be her right now. She wakes up to this, and then she turns the TV on and hears this.
He's trying to get chopped down by some gold digger.
And then she's just left there in a state of utter shock, damaged, destroyed by the sight of Eve Barlow's face, distraught by the words of the legendary Mickey Rourke. She picks up her phone, dials Elaine's number, hoping for some good news, hoping for that one thing that can cheer her up, only to find out that all of her motions have been dismissed and that her lawyers and legal team have been laughed all the way out of the courtroom. And speaking of motions being dismissed, I actually have some paperwork here that I want to read for you all. Right now, I feel like an elementary school teacher, you know, one of those teachers that licks their fingers every time they grab a worksheet to hand you. That's how I feel right now as I go through this paperwork of Amber Heard's.
I'm sorry, that's disgusting. You don't have to lick your fingers that many
This
times.
cause came before the court upon defendant Amber Laura Heard's post-trial motions. After review of defendant's post-trial motions, plaintiff's opposition, and the relevant statutes and case law, it is therefore ordered as follows. Defendant Amber Laura Heard's post-trial motions 1 through 6 are denied for the reasons stated on the record. Defendant Amber Laura Heard's post-trial motion 7 is likewise denied for the reasons outlined below. The purpose of voir dire is to obtain a fair and impartial jury. Voir dire is necessary to ascertain whether any juror has any interest in the case or any bias or prejudice in relation to it, and that he in fact stands indifferent in the cause. The summons issued to Juror 15 listed his legal name and address and no birth date as noted. The court has pulled Juror 15's jury questionnaire. Juror 15 completed the jury questionnaire as himself, filling in his proper birth date. The information presented on the jury questionnaire matches the information Juror 15 provided to the court.
Be right back.
Juror 15 was vetted by the court on the record and met with the statutory requirements for service. The parties also questioned the juror panel for a full day and informed the court that the jury panel was acceptable. Therefore, due process was guaranteed and provided to all parties in this litigation. Voir dire was conducted in a fair and impartial manner, with the court and both parties examining the potential jurors. There is no evidence of fraud or wrongdoing. Further, the defendant was provided the jury list 5 days prior to the commencement of trial and knew or should have known about the mistake at any time during the 7-week pendency of this trial. She had every opportunity to object or to voir dire on the issue. Parties generally must make objections at the time a ruling or order is made to put the court on notice that an issue is meant to be preserved. Despite defendant's assertion in footnote 9 of her motion, VA Code 5801353A clearly states, in any error in the information shown on such copy of the jury panel shall not be grounds for a mistrial or assignable as an error or on appeal, and the parties in the case shall be responsible for verifying the accuracy of such information. Emphasis added. Consequently, defendant, as well as plaintiff, had an affirmative obligation to ensure the accuracy of the information provided for the jury panel. A party cannot wait until receiving an adverse verdict to object for the first time on an issue known since the beginning of the trial. The issue has been waived. Even if the objection has not been waived, objections to any discrepancies in jury lists and any legal disabilities of potential jurors must be made in accordance with Virginia Code Section 801352. That section provides in relevant part, unless objection to such irregularity or disability is made pursuant to subsection A herein, and unless it appears that the irregularity was intentional or that the irregularity or disability to be such as to probably cause injustice in a civil case to the party making the objection, then such irregularity or disability, that word is kicking my ass trying to read so fast, shall not be cause for summoning a new panel or jury for setting aside a verdict or granting a new trial. VA Code 801352B. Furthermore, while parties must make this objection while following the above procedure, the party.
My internet went out on the TV. Give it a couple minutes. This happens all the damn time.
The evidence of prejudice. Defendant does not allege Juror 15's inclusion on the jury prejudiced her in any way. The juror was vetted, sat for the entire jury.
This is all the damn time. When it comes to YouTube on my TCL Roku TV.
jury deliberated and reached a verdict. The only evidence before this court is that this juror and all jurors followed their oaths, the court's instructions and orders. This court is bound by the competent decision of the jury. So long story short, after reading all of that, basically what happened here is all of this stuff was just tossed out. There's no reason why we should be here in the first place. In fact, a lot of this, what Amber's team, her legal team and lawyers have been trying to do over the past few days, it's been really far-fetched.
Yep.
Like, I almost didn't report on the story because what they're doing is so stupid, it's almost like you don't want to even pay any attention because you knew this was going to be the outcome. Like, we knew this was going to be the outcome for a 100% fact. There was never a doubt in my mind that this would be laughed out of court, but of course they had to try it anyway. They had to try it anyway, and Amber just continues making herself look even worse. And I don't know when she's going to stop. The good news is, now, she only has, I think about 11 days to come up with like $10 million to appeal. So will she be able to do that? I don't know. If she does do it, if she somehow comes up with this money, then we know for sure that there's someone putting up the money for her. Amber's not going to come upon $10 million within the next 11 days, okay? She's just not. She's not going to become a mermaid in Aquaman 3 for a few minutes and get a big paycheck within 11 days. So if someone steps up, if she steps up with this money, then we know that someone else stepped up to help her. Would that be Elon Musk? I don't know. It would probably be a lot of these little charities and these mainstream news outlets that seem to love her and back her so much because they know it's in their best interest for Amber to somehow wiggle her way out of the situation because she's not only making herself look bad, she's making them look bad. But I want to know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.
And another question, she don't come up with this money. She got 10 to 11 days, right? To come up with this money. What else is she going to do within the 10 to 11 days to try to stall the case? What else is she going to say to try and stop her from, you know what I'm saying? To stop her from not paying Johnny. It just, just makes you want to. Break down the whole
These brioche buns?
Good.
NBC thing.
Pretty sure it's pronounced brioche.
It gets
It's
popular.
French.
It's pronounced brioche.
Whose kids are those? No idea.
Nature's own perfectly crafted brioche style buns. You're fancy now.
You're fancy now.
Imagine a spa quality nail treatment now in the comfort of your own home. Introducing.
No one those things doesn't even work. So let's go on to the next. Warning, the following documentary contains explicit
Our
language.
coverage begins in Fairfax County, Virginia.
Around the world, the divorce with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard getting uglier as we
Trial with actor Johnny Depp suing his ex-wife, actress Amber Heard, began.
I struggle to think of a case like this where you had both sides really using the courtroom to fight the public opinion war.
I think a lot of people want to dismiss this case and say that this is two celebrities and who cares. People don't always get the nuances of it because they're seeing the headlines.
You had Johnny Depp and all of his fans came out of the woodwork. They were on TikTok. They were on the comment threads.
People believed him. They didn't believe her. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But that's how the social media frenzy works.
We are now in a world where social media is used as a weapon.
When people act like social media is completely irrelevant to the real world, That's plainly incorrect. And there is no denying the impact that social media posts and viral content can have on our real world.
In 2012, Johnny Depp was arguably one of the biggest stars in the world.
And the most
He's
sexy.
been sort of a teen heartthrob in the 80s with 21 Jump Street, and his star really built around these interesting characters that he portrayed on film.
He was mainly known as being Tim Burton's muse.
But then Captain Jack Sparrow with Disney shot him into huge stardom. Amber Heard is 20 years younger and was building a career and name recognition within Hollywood, but she was certainly nowhere near the star that Johnny Depp was.
Amber Heard and Johnny Depp met like most celebrity couples do. They were met while making a project. They made this movie called The Run Diary.
Meeting an actress like Amber Heard, she's of another era.
I noticed that everybody smiled when he walked on the set, and I thought it was a good sign.
Actually, it wasn't until 2011, 2 years later, that they took the relationship to the next level. The press lapped it up because people love good-looking Hollywood duos together, and these two fit the bill.
I did notice something on your hand. Oh, the other one. Is that an engagement ring?
In 2015, they got married, and they had a big, luxurious wedding on one of Johnny Depp's private islands. Yeah, it was mostly good. I'm trying to think. Until it got bad. Only a year later did Amber Heard file for divorce.
The actor's estranged wife saying she's a victim of domestic abuse. She's seen leaving court with visible bruises, asking a judge for a restraining
He wasn't
order.
even around when that bruise showed up.
Bruise on her face.
Okay.
Johnny Depp's team said that she was just trying to expedite the process by filing this domestic
He
restraining order.
waited
and it
until he
actually
was
had
out of the
no merit.
country to do
It
this
was
shit.
pretty remarkable the speed at which they actually reached a divorce settlement, and it was for $7 million for Amber Heard.
She had pledged all of that money to two charities, the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles and the ACLU. And they had...
She pledged. That is different from donating people. Donating is when they actually get the money. Pledging is a promise to give them the money. There is a difference.
a joint statement released at the time that neither party in the case was lying for financial gain.
Tonight, former Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein expected to face charges.
A year after their divorce settlement was reached, became the Me Too movement.
Women will be silent no more.
We
And
saw
it
a
was
lot
wrong
of
that
people
she is
who had
the
been
Me Too
living
movement.
with these secrets and the shame for a very long time, feeling power in numbers.
Amber Heard penned an op-ed for the Washington Post in which she talked about being a survivor of domestic violence. She never actually named her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, in the op-ed.
The phrase that she used was, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, but the timeline insinuates who she's discussing.
Exactly.
Johnny Depp filed for defamation in Fairfax County, Virginia.
He argues because of the allegations, his career has suffered.
He sued her for $50 million, and she said, fine, I'll sue you for $100 million. Amber Heard's counterclaim is that he defamed her through his attorney, Adam Waldman, who accused her of creating an abuse hoax. Now, the trial kicks off at 10 a.m. this morning here at the Fairfax County Courthouse.
And the great news is that we're going to watch it all unfold in real time.
So who were you here to support? Johnny Depp. I've been coming since it started. This is for all my Johnny Depp fans out there. I say hi to him before he pulled in for court.
100 people were allowed in each day, and they were given wristbands to be able to come in.
And they were fighting the battle in the court of public opinion just as much as they were fighting inside the courtroom.
Exactly.
The Depp case was a civil defamation suit. Civil suit meaning it's for money.
They're both public figures. There's a higher standard of defamation at play. It's about whether you maliciously went after this person with a reckless disregard of the truth.
Truth is an absolute defense to a defamation claim. The question was Ms. Heard telling the truth when she generally claimed to be a victim of abuse? having the cameras in the courtroom sensationalizes everything. It becomes a soap opera of sorts.
Because there were cameras, people could edit videos online into TikToks, into rapid fire Twitter videos, and watch it almost like a gladiator ceremony. It reminded me of the OJ case, in which you had all the world essentially watching what was an extremely disturbing trial. And this was an extremely disturbing trial.
This was a defamation case.
What I don't understand is why they not lobbying this with Michael. Michael went through the exact same thing, but the only difference was that y'all's family going after Michael, not a breakup of a marriage. Johnny is going through almost the exact same thing as Michael did right before he died. Okay? A couple years before he died. With his last trial. People were saying he was guilty. He was being blacklisted and canceled from Hollywood because of what certain people were saying. But yet it was found to be that the family accusing Michael the second time around did things like this before with her kids in the past. She tried to do it with JCPenney, with George Lopez, among other celebrities, to try to get money. She was also caught in welfare fraud. She was, there's something wrong with Janet Avizio, and no one was willing to listen to Michael's side and try to believe Michael because he was such a big celebrity like Johnny. And then on top of it, there's also another celebrity who went through the exact same thing, and that's a guy named Christopher Titus. He talks about it in Love is Evil, his stand-up comedy. I would suggest you listen to what he says about that, and you will see the similarities between Johnny and Christopher Titus. Okay? Between the woman he was divorcing and Amber and everything, because Amber was saying the exact same thing about Chris. Okay? And the court believed the woman over Chris. And he had to pay millions of dollars to her and stuff. And he felt betrayed by the court justice. When in actuality, this woman that he's been with for years was beating the shit out of him. He was afraid of her. He talks about the abuse that his now ex-wife put on him. He talked about the DB that his wife at the time. He even talks about the whole thing about this woman in Norman Rockwell is Bleeding. He makes fun of it, yes. But if you look at what he talks about, how Amber is, and what Johnny's been saying about Amber, and what Christopher's saying about his ex-wife, there's women out there that will say and do whatever to get what they want. I mean, just watch those two specials. You'll understand that Christopher Titus went through the exact same thing as Johnny. And and if you look at what Christopher Titus went through, he's also a domestic abuse survivor. Just like Johnny. Men do get beat up, okay? Just like women. I don't know why it's such a taboo to say that a man got beat up by a woman. Why is it not believable? I don't understand why Christopher Titus is not talking about this and saying, hey, if this is true with what Johnny's saying about Amber, I went through this. Why isn't he not sticking up for another DV victim? Because he went through DV with one of his women that he married. I mean, I'm sorry, but women tend to lie because they know people they will freaking get the sympathy because we're women.
And before you knew it, we had all of these elements of domestic violence introduced.
Do you remember the first time that he physically hit you?
Yes. She was asking him about a tattoo he had altered because it initially said Winona Forever. Winona Ryder was famously one of his ex-girlfriends.
And I said, what does it say? And he said it says Wino. I just laughed because I thought he was joking. And slapped me across the face.
But the camera's in the courtroom.
There was no reason for Johnny to slap her across the face because of the fact of the tattoo. I think she said it in a context that pissed him off because Winona Ryder he still has feelings for this woman. There's still hurt from what happened between them. Okay? Because he still had feelings for her. And Amber saw this. That's why she asked about the tattoo. Everyone knows about the Wino tattoo. Okay, why would she ask about that tattoo when everyone knows the story about that tattoo? Was she living under a rock? Was she trying to start something by saying something, asking about a sensitive topic around that tattoo?
I believe also had an effect on the testimonies themselves because these are two actors at the end of the day, right?
So you think it's so funny? You think it's funny, bitch? You think you're a funny bitch? He slapped me again.
And the entire argument on Depp's legal team was them saying that she is going to be giving the biggest performance of her life.
Exactly.
I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard.
If Ms. Heard could prove that any single event occurred,
and she didn't prove any of the event was true.
In theory, she should successfully defeat the defamation claim. Now, she took a bit of the kitchen sink approach and put on evidence of various incidents of alleged abuse.
After you said, let's drown her before we burn her, Mr. Depp, you said, I will fuck her.
I'm sorry, that's a comment of a man who just had enough of Amber's bullshit. I would have said the same thing out of anger. He was beyond having about enough of it. Okay? So this is a comment out of desperation and anger and all that angst and just wanting to explode. You know what I'm saying? And say what he needed to say about Amber. Because Amber was doing shit to him. He didn't just say it just to be mean. He had enough of the abuse from her. He was starting to not love her anymore because of the way Amber was towards him and the way she handled him.
Burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she's dead. Did I read that right?
You certainly did, yes.
A large part of Amber Heard's case and defense has...
And I don't believe this defender in the black dress, this Huda, whatever her name is, ever had anyone lay a finger on her. She wouldn't know what it is like to be a domestic violence survivor. She does not look like someone, like she went through it. Because, excuse me, if she went through it, she would not be on Amber's side. Because she would know the difference of what's really happened with domestic abuse and Amber's story. She's not paying attention to, or they didn't even bring up the fact of the audio tapes right now showing the fact that Amber admitted on tape that she hit him and she would continue to abuse him. I bet you 100% I'm already 7 minutes and 50 seconds into a 27-minute, 23-second thing, and they did not yet bring up that fact.
Been communications from Johnny Depp about Amber Heard.
Hopefully,
this is so one-sided. They're going after Johnny, and they're trying to go after Johnny hard. They didn't bring up the fact that she pooped in his bed. She took his pills for pill parties. She was drunk and coked up herself. She was a drug addict. I don't know if she still is. And if she still is, that little girl that she has should be taken away from her. Okay? Because that is not a good environment for a little kid to be in. If she's still having these little pill parties. Okay? And being all coked up and shit. Okay? And it's proven that she's been coked up. Okay? She should have been in trouble for that. Okay? No, there was evidence of her doing wrong things too, and they're not talking about it. They're talking about just John.
Corpse
It's a very biased program.
Of a Honda Civic.
He says that it was an appeal to dark humor in a dark time.
He did his best to explain his personality and to try to get sympathy from the jury and from the public at large.
Johnny Depp took to the stand and he talked about his childhood. And he talked about the abuse that he suffered at the hands of his mother.
She was.
And anyone who went through that, like I did, would not want to do that to someone else. Okay? Even though it would be ingrained in them, they would look at that and say, I'm not ever going to do that to my kids. I'm not going to ever do that to someone I care about. I would never, ever, ever.
She was quite cruel.
He would later go on to testify, saying that
because I know what I went through. I would not put that on someone else.
You start to slowly realize that you are in a relationship.
They did not. They're not saying the fact that Amber's father did a pit bull ring with animals, and she lived with a person like that. No, they're not talking about Amber's side here, and Amber's fault.
Today is actually the first opportunity that I've been able to speak about this in full for.
She is not the victim here. She caused her own victim.
To address this, yes, he did in the UK.
And the UK did not freaking side with John because Johnny's evidence was not put into court.
Johnny Depp was not suing his ex-wife. Johnny Depp was suing a tabloid newspaper for calling him a quote-unquote wife beater in an article. So Johnny Depp's team had to prove that he was not a wife beater, and he lost the UK trial for defamation.
The judge
because they sided with Amber.
Committed at least 12 acts of domestic
they didn't look at the evidence. They didn't even ask people who've seen this shit go down and shit.
Evidence that came in the UK but did not come in the US was a lot of consistent text messages and emails.
And what they don't hear, what I don't understand, they're showing Amber freaking saying, oh, Johnny did this, Johnny. What about the fact that the parents sided with Johnny, telling him to be careful with her, be blah, 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 and it sounded like they were scared of Amber? No, they didn't. They ain't gonna show that, now are they?
A text message from Stephen Duders, his assistant, to Amber, in which he says, Johnny's awake now. He doesn't remember anything. When I told him he kicked you, he cried. There was emails and text messages throughout, including to her doctor, including to the nurses. Those were all kept out.
The evidence came in that should come in, and the judge was very fair to both sides.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, in this case, were the parties. They have different disclosure obligations.
Depp's team wanted to demonize Amber every way they can, and at the same time try to suppress.
Because she demonized herself. If she would have just told the truth, everyone would have looked at her in a different light. But no, she wanted to put in stories that didn't even involve in the case, like her dog stepping on a bee. She fake cried. There's even times where she looked like she freaking took a shot of cocaine while she was sitting on the witness stand. She shot something up her nose from a tissue. I'm sorry, no. She was being sneaky all that time. I mean, and they make fun of him with dealing with eating candy, I mean, you gotta understand, I said this before. Why he ate so much candy in court and stuff is because he was trying to quit addiction. And addiction is hard to break. Okay? Cigarettes, you name it. He needed something to by his mouth, by his fingertips. Something that's going into his system. And he didn't need to smoke since he's a heavy smoker. So what people do was either chew Nicorette gum, eat candy, and stuff like that. But no, they demonized him for trying to quit, trying to not freaking smoke while in court. Okay? All right? While Amber is hiding thermoses in her outfit, she's there doing bumps on fucking the witness stand and faking a fucking crying fit just for a camera and everything. No, Amber did this to herself. She said she didn't want to be a victim, but yet she's pushing the narrative. Which is it going to be, Amber? You a victim or not?
Any of the evidence of Mr. Depp's domestic violence. There were therapy notes that go back to 2011 when Amber Heard was first dating Mr. Depp. Detailed notes 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. To see that contemporaneous...
And the reason why it's in the therapy notes is because she claims this stuff happened. There was no evidence of Johnny actually doing this shit.
All of those
it's just word of mouth.
Very, very powerful in my view to a jury, but none of that came in because the judge determined that those were out of court statements.
Any good trial attorney, and I think both sides did this, they're going to develop a theme from Mr. Depp's perspective. Their theme throughout was that I am not the abuser.
Never did I myself reach the point of...
and if he was an abuser, he would be abusing his kids. The abuse will not stop at just Amber, okay?
Striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman.
If anything, I'm the one who was abused.
And he goes, why are you accusing me of domestic violence when I should be the one accusing you? Mm-hmm. Yep, the plot thickens. The plot thickens.
A man has... he has to live within a system and a society that does not believe that he can be a victim. Men do not traditionally come forward.
Yeah, because of the stigmata of them feeling like it's weak for them to be getting abused. That's why Christopher Titus has been lightly touching on his domestic abuse with his previous wife or whatever.
Rage.
You don't believe me? Let me show you what he says. What Christopher Titus says about his ex-wives or ex-wife. Let me type it in. See? R. Christopher Titus. Come on. Wishes in my head. Armageddon, born with defect. Love is evil. Norman Rockwell is bleeding. And it's the famous part of Norman Rockwell is bleeding. One of the famous parts where he talks about the one incident while he was trying to watch Rudolph. Okay.
Buddy Christopher Titus,
Welcome to quarantine, week 4000. What?
I know which part of it is because the lights change. Let me see.
Didn't realize I had any problems till you fucking brought it up.
Trying to find it.
So I'm watching Rudolph, Hermie's gonna be a dentist. I'm stoked. And all of a sudden, she goes, "What kind of loser watches this crap?"
Doesn't that sound like Amber?
I said, "Hey, Twix." Punch me in the face. So I picked up a $200 Ferragamo shoes, went to the front door, opened it, winged them across the street. Yeah, because I knew they'd get her ass out of the house. She was that kind of woman, man. Chasing designer label like a fat guy after a velour jogging suit. But I'm so afraid of the second she leaves, I start locking doors and windows like I'm Anne Frank. Then I sit down to watch Rudolph, God damn it. When all of a sudden there arose such a clatter. I sprang from the couch to see what was the matter. I went to the window, tore open the blinds, and there was my girlfriend, quite out of her mind. And I'm just standing there, heart pounding with fear. She's banging on the glass door with a vodka bottle. Phil just about to hear. And I knew the window couldn't take it, and she screamed, "Open the door, you bastard! I'll fucking break it!" Well, I couldn't let her do that. 'Twas my father's place. So I cracked the door and she punched me in the face! So I summoned my man from bottom to top and I screamed like a little girl, "Oh God, the cops!"
Men don't go through TV?
So I called 911. She grabbed her stuff and bailed. Now, by the way, she was a 5', 100-pound Jewish girl, and I still haven't forgiven the Jewish people. But the cops show up, and I get to explain how this 5', 100-pound girl has been beating the crap out of me. They're taking down my statement like I'm a drunk UFO abductee. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Upstream bias right there towards a different victim now.
And I'm just sounding stupider and stupider. Man, I know she's this big. She got a hook you wouldn't believe, dude. She just fight. It's like fighting a gopher on crank, dude. She just gets in on it. Yeah, we believe you, Mr. Titus. I think we're going to get Mulder and Scully in on this one. Yeah. I mean, they're not doing anything because Fox canceled them, too.
And this is the same people that freaking backs freaking Hillary and Amber Heard and all that. Yeah.
Cops leave, phone rings, it's her. She goes, "I took your father's camera and all his lenses. Because in my house right now, you're never going to see that camera again." I just want to break up with this bitch. Now it's a hostage situation. About that time, my dad comes home from a Christmas party. "How you doing, Christopher? I'd like you to meet your new possible mommy." I tell my dad, and he goes, "Screw it! You didn't need that witch anyways." I said, "Dad, she took your camera." "Well, you best apologize to the young lady then." So I went over to her house, and she apologized to me, wearing the camera, red 4-inch stiletto heels, and nothing else. So I moved in with her.
Sounds like Amber Heard, doesn't it?
I'm behind the fan, but the booty is good.
Hate advertisements.
PG.
Don't give a shit.
Offer for her, for him, and everybody? With creamy avocado spread, crispy bacon.
Bad. She didn't have, she wasn't all bad. She had some good things. She had the one good thing, Like, at the time I was dating, I was a struggling comedian, and, and no matter how hard I struggled, she always just really had that well-paying job. I was a manho for a couple of months there. And look, she was moving to Los Angeles, and I thought, I'll go with her, we get to LA, and I gotta tell you, man, the relationship, once the geography changed, my God, it was a fucking nightmare! Except for one day. In 3 months, we had one good day. Kind of day where the sun shone a little brighter, birds sang a little sweeter, and I didn't get punched in the face before 6 p.m. We got up here that day with somebody went to Malibu Beach all day. It was just great, man. There was no blanket, no sand on the blanket. Music was kicking. Everything was perfect, man. And I get home and I'm just feeling good about myself. I look in the mirror and I realize, hey, I'm 6'2", I'm blonde, I'm tan, I'm wearing white pants. I'm a very pretty man. So I decided to build this bookcase. I bought this really, really nice particle board and plastic wood grain decal bookcase. I start building it, I get done, I put my books in, a first edition book, Stephen King, but first edition, so don't judge. And I get done, and all of a sudden, she goes, "What are you doing?"
Bookcase.
Bookcase.
Book.
Book. She goes, "Where the hell are my books?" Well, she had a 180 IQ. Oh, wait a minute, Mom had a 180 IQ.
What did Johnny say on the stand? That men tend to date or marry women like their mothers? And what did Christopher Titus just say? His girlfriend, who turned out to be his wife, now ex-wife, had a 180 IQ like his mother. And how did she treat Christopher Titus? With abuse.
Oh, God. She was working for a computer company at the time, big computer company, which I can't say because they will sue me. And I said, "Hon, all you got is those tech manuals. No one's going to come on the house, grab an interesting and amusing tech manual, start flipping through the hilarious tech manual."
And he braces for the hit.
Because your friends are too fucking stupid to read my books. Wham! And cracks me in the face. I said, "Hey! Not all my friends are that stupid. That's it. I'm out of here." I grab my clothes out of the closet. She rips them out of my hand, stomps on it, cracks me again. I said, "I'm calling the cops." I go down 911. She reaches over me, hangs up, cracks me again. I dial 911. She reaches over me, hangs up, cracks me again. So I grab the front of her shirt and I hold her at bay, whatever the hell that means.
4 times she cracked him.
One. Hello? Hi, this is Christopher.
The abuse was so much that he knew the cop's name.
There's a domestic. Just let me talk to Rick.
This is a domestic. Let me talk to Rick. Rick is a guy that knows them because of the domestic. There's so much.
Hey man, what's up? Yes, she's doing it again. All right, I'll see you in a minute. I hang up the phone, let her go, bam, she cracks me again. I don't think a man should ever hit a woman until the 5th time she's cracked him in the face.
Exactly.
Because I smacked her, open-handed, and I regret it, because it wasn't as hard as I could have. She goes, You hit me. To which I replied, and like a real man, locked myself in the bathroom. Now.
And what did Johnny do when Amber was abusing him? He did the exact same thing by running to the bathroom to get away from his abuser.
Cops show up 10 minutes later. I come out of the bathroom. She goes, "This son of a bitch hit me." I said, "She hit me first," which didn't work in 3rd grade. Not going to work on the LAPD. And they cuffed me because it's domestic violence law now. And it's a great law. What used to happen was cops would show up, break up a guy and girl. Hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey. Now you guys work this out. We don't want to have to come back. And then they'd have to come back because those two had worked it out, but the loser was dead. So they cuffed me. She realizes how serious it's getting. Goes, officers. Who? I have a sugar imbalance. And I just made it up. He didn't really hit me. And the cops go on cuff me. I said, "Man, I hit her. I swear I hit her." I know my rights. I'll wait for you guys in the car. They take me to prison. I'm 6'2", I'm blonde, I'm tan, I'm wearing white pants. I realize I'm a very pretty man. So I made some new friends. I made bail. And I broke up with her. Because I don't take any shit. Oh, man. Had to move back to my father's house after that. Ugh. There's a proud day in a young man's life. Because at 17, I moved out like a badass. I'm on my own now. M-A-N. Read it. Yeah, I don't need you anymore, Dad. I mean, Ken. I take a good look at that, man, because that's the last time you're ever going to see me. 4 years later. Daddy! My key doesn't work in the door anymore. I have laundry. I'm out of ramen noodles. Well, couldn't hack it in the real world, could you, boy? I'd offer you something to eat, but you seem to be choking on your pride right now. Tell you what, though. Daddy loves you, and he's going to let you move back home. But Ken's kind of pissed, and you're paying $400 a week rent. But sometimes when life is sucking, the best things happen. I actually met the girl who's going to be my wife. And we had actually gone to high school together, but at that time, she was in the hot-looking babes group. And I was in the outcast losers who fell into a bonfire group. Their exclusive group.
We talked about that one girl being in domestic, right? Let's listen to the first couple minutes of Love is Evil.
Yes, you might as well blow the candles out and put the hog away, because it's over.
Come on. So. And this one, he talks about the woman he married. Not just the girlfriend. So not just one woman abused him, but two.
All right.
Alright, really? YouTube.
I have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis, so I'm taking Zeposia once
Know
daily.
about your bowel movements?
Yes.
Listen. Just listen to what he says. I'm surprised he's even smiling.
If you're in here tonight and you have never contemplated suicide, then you have never truly been in love. And if you're in here tonight and you've never contemplated murder, then you've never been divorced. It is the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. I would rather be the majority stockholder in a chain of Alec Baldwin daycare centers.
I bet you
Britney
John
Spears is CEO, man.
And I bet you John would agree.
And here was my mistake. After my last comedy special, I said, God, give me a new idea for a new comedy special. And God went, you're getting divorced. So, turns out you get a lot more fucking specific when you talk to God, all right? Yeah, don't just give God a blank slate and let him run with that. I filed for divorce on June 6th, 06. 666, yes. Which coincidentally turned my ex into a demon slithering from the fiery depths of Satan's anus. But for legal reasons, I have to call her Kate. And I knew things were weird. I knew they were weird. You know, we were together 15 years and things started going kind of sideways 17 years ago. Because she had one of those families. And if you're dating someone right now and you've met their family and their family is whacked, and you think, oh, that's okay, they're the good one. Then you are mentally ill, okay? Because they are not the good one. They're like a psycho Tylenol gel cap, man. Tick-tock,
tick-tock, crazy's coming.
Her family, Irish Catholic, autistic, but not the happy special ones, the real mean ones, you know? Hey, we're gonna fight, we're gonna drink and fight. You wanna fight and drink? What? Every neighborhood on the planet has a house like this on the block. We've all driven past it. A bunch of people living there, too old to be kids, but never gonna be adults. You can tell that by the Aerosmith Rocks banner in the living room window. 4 sociopathic pit bulls roaming the yard at all times. The brown one has one leg just flops to the fence every couple of hours. You can tell the family's doubled their net worth because they parked a new gutted Chevelle in the driveway. The mailman's afraid to bring the mail, so he just gives it to the cops because, hell, they're going to be there anyway. And if you don't recognize this house in your neighborhood, you live in this house in your neighborhood. Why do we stay with these people? We've all stayed with a nightmare. Why do we stay with these life-sucking vampires, man? These soul-sucking humps that just drag you through psychological barbed wire day after day and year after year, till at the end of the relationship, all that's left of you is an empty shell full of hate and fear. By the way, do not look at the person you are with right now. It's a bad time to glance over. I have to warn you about tonight's show. Tonight's show will fix your relationship or destroy it. And either way, you're welcome. Yes. Yes, happy Valentine's Day, yes. There are some things I'm going to bring up later that you're going to want to go, aha! Don't do it. Stay right here, okay? Right here. Don't look at them. Why do we stay with these people? We've all done it. Why? You know why we stay? Because every one of us in our brain has that inner retard. That little voice That tells you you're not good enough, that you're never going to be good enough, that you're not good looking enough, you don't make enough money. That little voice when you go, I'm going to ask for a raise, it goes, yeah, well, you're going to get fired, idiot. Go ahead, ask for it, dummy. Mine's bad. Tonight, mine was like, you're going to do a comedy special. You spelled evil wrong, idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Here's how bad my inner retard is. If I'm on the freeway and the lane I'm in stops and I pull to the next lane and that lane stops, my inner retard goes, that was your fault. The entire freeway is pissed off at you right now. I hope they pull you over and beat your ass, idiot. And the weird thing about that voice is none of us had it when we were kids. We were just kids living life, having a blast. I'm going to be an astronaut. No! I'm going to drive an ice cream truck. No! I'm going to drive an ice cream truck in outer space. And then my dad saw that it was full of hope and joy and thought, well, that's not going to work, you little fruit. You want to be an astronaut, huh? Let's look at your report card and see if that can happen. Let's draw your grades into one word. Dude. Yeah. Little spelling test. What other words start with that? Fool, feeble, failure. How about foster parents? They'll buy me an ice cream truck. And then my whole life, my dad was just up my ass. Little League team came in fifth, should have came in first. You're too slow. You brought that team down. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're too cocky. Shut up. Quit looking at me. You're klutzy. You're an idiot. I was finally 18 and I said, Dad, I'm moving out. And I'm never going to have to listen to your crap again. As I hit the door, a little voice went, yeah, but I'm coming with you for the rest of your life. Yay! And by the way, that was a very nice speech to your dad. But you know you're going to be back next week begging for canned goods and doing your laundry. Idiot. So now I got this voice in my hand and I get in a relationship with these psychos, man. And I sucked it up for years. I finally get ready. You know what? Since I met you, you've ruined my life. I'm leaving right now and I never want to see you again. I hit the door, a little voice goes, wait a minute. If you leave right now, a bigger loser as you are, you're probably going to be alone for the rest of your life. Take one last look at it. Maybe that's the best you're ever going to do. And I know every time you fight, she cuts you, but hey, at least you got good health care. At least until you get fired, idiot. I knew things were going bad. We all have hints. Every time a relationship goes bad, you have hints. There was things. Like 2 years before we got divorced, she got a boob job. And gentlemen, if you're dating a woman over 5 years and she decides she wants a boob job, she ain't getting it for you. She is putting fresh meat on a new hook. That's all it is. She is trolling for idiot B. That's right. Because you have not lived up to her financial expectations. So she's going to cast those double D's out into the dating pool. In the 2 years before we got divorced, my ex got new hair, new eyes, new boobs, new lips. I rebuilt this bitch from the ground up, man. It was a frame-off restoration. Now some new guy's driving her. And I want to point something out about boob job. Ladies, if you're going to get a boob job, for God's sakes, I want to be clear. I am not anti-boob job, as long as you don't use them for evil. But don't get what you think men want, because men don't want bigger is better. We just don't want it. We want something that looks good on you. Don't go crazy. My ex went insane, man. In my opinion, she got boobs 4 sizes bigger than she should have if she was 5 feet taller than she already is. She's 5'2", got boobs to fit Shaquille O'Neal. They had to modify her skeleton to hold him up. I'm not making. The Strippers Association filed a grievance. Ladies, don't go too big. No woman should stand up and cause wind shear. And California is a no-fault state. You split the assets down the middle, right? Well, plastic surgery is an asset. I want half the plastic surgery back. And I don't want a cash settlement. I want to leave court with a jaw.
You see why she didn't freaking want to go to California? Because it's a half-false state. So which means she would know for a fact that she would have to pay in California. She was not expecting this. To lose that case.
And I want her walking out like the Elephant Man, just a clump of hair missing, one eyelid, upper lip, one book. Your Honor, this is outrageous! She was seeing two other guys, I found out. Yeah!
Doesn't that sound like Amber? She was seeing Elon Musk and James Franco on top of Cara Delevingne.
Yeah, one guy was 60 years old, but he had $20 million.
He even tried going after Kevin Costner.
Really? Is that how the audience reacts?
Was he dating Amber?
Ew! I have to admit, when I heard 20 million, I was like, wow, good job. Damn, nice. I'll tell you what, he buys me a Z06 Corvette, I'll drop you off on Wednesdays.
What?
This all the way downstairs. What are you doing?
Watching and streaming. Why?
Streaming.
Yeah, say hi to everyone.
What are you streaming?
On YouTube.
What are you streaming?
Talking. Vlogging.
Why?
Because I want to. Can you wait a couple minutes? I'm almost done.
But 60? I mean, I got issues, but 60? 60? And how do you stay, like, focused in the bedroom when you're thinking, they're going to break a hip, they're going to break a hip, they're going to break a hip? I mean, I can see why, why he liked her. I mean, they just had a kid, and, she could wipe, drool, and change diapers, so I get it. Bitter. That's funny. Why do we stay with these life force killing ass nozzles? Why? We have all done it. We've all done it. We all did it way too long, except for my father. My father refused. My dad got divorced 6 times. Well, he actually got divorced 5 times. He wouldn't divorce the 6th one because he said he didn't want people to think he couldn't commit. I don't want people not take me serious. Dad, your last marriage was performed in Reno by an ordained lesbian Elvis impersonator who you hit on. And everybody in this room, everybody watching, everybody I've ever met was destroyed by a member of the opposite sex early on, and that damage and that cancer you took into every relationship after that. Everybody. Every woman in here got intimidated by a guy, pushed around a little bit. Now your new boyfriend tickles you too hard, restraining order. Every guy in here had a woman sleep with his best friend. Now your new girl hugs her cousin at Thanksgiving too long, car bomb. Sorry, dude. I got a 5-second rule. And my father was destroyed early on, man. My father took no crap from women. That's why he got divorced so many times. Women, nothing. They didn't do nothing. Hey, Kenny, I gained 2 pounds. Really? Pack your crap and get your ass out of here right now, lard ass. Well, I lost weight. Yeah, well, I gained 2 pounds. Pack your crap and get your ass out of here right now. Trying to kill me? And these women, like, my dad flipped so hard that these women would be confused. And they'd be moving their stuff out of the house and half of dad's stuff because California's a no-fault state. And they'd always say the same thing to me. And then, mother, remember, I'm a little kid at this point. I'm like 8. They turn to me and go, why is your father like this?
Have you met my mother?
Have you met my mother? Because frankly, she's a Batman villain. After knowing my mom, I'm surprised my dad didn't just roam the countryside killing hookers with a spoon. Showed up to my high school graduation in white thigh-high vinyl go-go boots and an army jacket. So obviously there was something wrong, or she was commander of the stripper battalion. Their entire relationship was built on the concrete foundation of sex and mental illness, which my dad thought was hot. I asked asked my dad, she was so nuts. Why did you stay with her? He said, son, anybody can have a relationship. But if you're with a woman who is so crazy in bed that if you're not wearing your Kevlar one night, you may never see daylight, that's exciting. My mother shot and killed her last husband. Yeah, my dad used to say, hey, dodge that bullet, ha-ha. Manic, depressive, schizophrenic, alcoholic. My umbilical cord was a crazy straw. But both my parents were little nuts, just different levels of nuts, you know? My father was on the Alcoholics Anonymous wish list. My mother was on parole and lithium. And they got married young, too. They got married, my dad was in the National Guard. My father fought for his country in the National Guard. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Let me try and get past this. This is where he talks about his mother's sex life. Oh, come on. And that
we
really?
Can fight with like crazy and then have the kind of make-up sex that makes your left side go numb.
Oh, just shoot me.
I had eye disease. My whole world became about my eyes.
3, 2,
I hid my
1.
bulging eyes and double.
YouTube, really?
I'd go numb. I don't even know where you're fighting. Can you make me an omelet? Somebody who will go to court for you and lie. Somebody who makes you horny even after they have puked in your car. Love. Somebody who can be with for 65 or 70 years of your life. So at the end of the life, you're sitting on that porch of the house you bought together. And you're old, wrinkly, smelly, and poop through a hole in your side. And she's old, wrinkly, smelly, and can't remember your name. She just keeps calling you the nice man. But you're still in love, and you're holding hands, and as you gaze into each other's milky, cataract-filled eyes, your hearts well up, explode, and you both die. That's all we want. That's all we want. And for that little evil drug love, boy, we will suck it up with an idiot for years, man. You will stay with an idiot, trying to change him, making him better. You're making excuses the whole time, man. Yeah, no, she's cool. She's great with me. If she would just stop sleeping with my dad and my sister, we'd be great, you know? It's coming. Oh, no, he's not the same guy I used to know. He stopped using the aluminum bat on me. I hated that noise. Ting, 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 ting. For years. I took it for years. For years. We've all done it. 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. All of us. And you know something? The weird thing is, you don't get a rebate at the end of your life for living with an idiot. You just don't. Death doesn't show up and go, hey, man, I was going to take you today, but you were with that bitch for like 3 years. Here's a coupon.
Nope.
We sucked it up, we take it, you try to change it, we keep trying to do it, and you make them better, it's gonna get better, I'm just gonna suck it up for another year, it'll be okay. And you took it, and you know what? That's your life. Yet, we go to Starbucks, and they screw up your latte one time, and you won't take that, man. You're like, barista! Does that taste like an extra soy hot latte to you, doesn't it? No, damn right you're gonna make it again. But you'll suffer an idiot for years, man. I wish we had a relationship Starbucks, because that's where you make it perfect. You can get everything perfect in Starbucks. If we can just make a relationship one, so you can walk in and go, hi, I'd like a new girl. This time no jealousy and only half bipolar. I just want her polar, if that's okay. Jealousy, the Auschwitz of emotions. The relationship death camp. I have been accused of sleeping with people I hadn't met yet. I'm not making it up. We were at a thing one night. We're dressed up. We're hanging out. We're just sitting there. When someone's jealous and you've been with them a while, you don't have to look at them to know what happened. You just be sitting there and your ears are popped. And I feel her head turn. Now I got two voices in my head. That little old man. Looks like the storms are coming.
I know Johnny had that
Am I
voice.
in a retard? I'm going to the cellar. I'm going to the cellar. I can't do.
And that's
don't
Johnny
look at her,
too.
Don't look at her. So I figure, all right. I know where this is going. I'm just gonna look here. I'm not gonna look at her. If I don't look at her, I can't light the fuse on the fight. So I'm just gonna stare at her. But she just keeps staring at me, and it starts to get uncomfortable because the side of my head starts to smoke. I said, "What?" Don't you want me? Why don't you just do it right here? You keep looking at her. You keep talking to her. Why don't you just do it right here? It's a parent-teacher conference. What the hell is wrong with you? She asked me to go to a place with her, go to the mall with her. And I had to go to the mall. So if I didn't go to the mall with her, she'd be, oh, you calling your girlfriend? Don't want to go. You gonna call your girlfriend? You know, Sarah, that's gonna happen. So I go to the mall with her because I didn't want her to be upset, and I'm trying to find love. So I go, but here was my joyous time in the mall with her. Walking the mall, she's right next to me. Oh, is that what you want? So I look at her. Is that what you redhead? Is that what you want? Oh, she's tall. Is that what you want? So I look at her. Oh, you say look at her. That's what. Oh, you like this high heels? Huh? That's right. Look at her. Say look at her. Hey, 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 hey! Listen, if I were to go to the mall, look at slightly overweight 14-year-olds wearing Uggs, I can drive myself. And ladies, if you're jealous and you're in the mall with your man and you think he's looking around, I want to point something out to you. If your man is in the mall with you, he loves you. Loves you.
Men do not like malls.
And he is not thinking about other women.
Nope.
You know what he's thinking? Man, I wish I was doing something productive. Like cleaning out the gutters, or coming up with a life goal, or inventing a car that runs on shattered dreams and lost faith in myself. But instead, I'm Schmeagol the Mall minion, sidekick the Princess Jealousy, or a credit card of hate. And one more thing. Ladies, if you're jealous and you walk into the mall with your man and you start pointing out hot chicks, and he looks, that's on you. At that point, you're just our wingman. And that goes for guys, too. If you're that dude, did you look at that guy? And she goes, you mean the guy that looks like he makes more money than you? No, but thanks for the assist. Jealousy is death, man. It would get so bad. Like I'd go to the mall and I'd have to stop before we go in and get ready. I'd be in the parking lot like, okay.
I wonder if Johnny had to do this with Amber.
I had to loosen up because I knew I'd have to lock my neck for the next 3 hours. Because she was like a cobra. If I moved my head, wait, look at it. So I would walk to the mall like this. And God forbid somebody hot walk into my vision, because then I was screwed. Oh God, she's hot, look over here. Ah! The girl in the Cinnabon, she's kind of hot, look over here. Ah! It's a hot mannequin wearing a bikini, turn around. It's a UPS guy wearing shorts, look at the ground. It's a passed out transvestite in high heels, get out your eyes now, get out your eyes now, get out your eyes now. Because I wanted love, you know? And if it makes her better, I'll gouge my own eyes out, you know? And she can't be jealous anymore. But I know what would happen. I'd gouge my eyes out, and then I'd be tapping my ass through the mall the next year. You smelled that face, didn't you? Crazy makes you crazy. When you're with someone crazy, they make you crazy. Keep looking at me. Because crazy people know they're crazy. I had this girl, she started editing out my friends and family because she knew they were watching and their brains weren't fogged by sex. So she would just like we'd have this family gathering and then they leave and she'd just, you know what, everybody's tongue is Steve. I don't really want them over here anymore. Kind of responsible, I don't really want them over here anymore. And your dad was kind of a jerk to me. I don't really want them over here anymore. And your sister was a bitch to me at Thanksgiving, and I really want. So after 3 years, I couldn't move because I really didn't know anybody who owned a truck. I was like, I have to live with you for the rest of my life now. Another girl randomly punched me. She would just punch me. Like if we got a little argument, her response was "Pah!" By any measure of the Geneva Convention, the crap this chick did to me, she should be up on war crimes at Gitmo right now. But by the end of the argument, she would do some heinous, and then we'd argue, and then I would apologize to her. And it started to feel weird. I started talking to my friends. Hey guys, here's what happened. Like I woke up at 3 o'clock last night, and she was sitting on me, just popping me in the temple, right? So we talked about it, and then today I went out and got her flowers. And my friends would always say something like, dude, can you call my voicemail and say that exact thing so I can play it back for you?
Exactly.
Then she found out I was talking to my friends about our relationship. Oh, it was like I sold nuclear secrets to North Korea at that point. What do you mean you were talking about our relationship? Sit down! You had no business discussing our business. That was our business.
He talked about that. I mean, he...
Am I? I'm not the crazy stabber person, am I?
That's where she stabbed
him. I
him.
stabbed those bitches in the mall you were looking at, did I? No. So instead of taking no responsibility and pointing the finger at me, and by the way, when you do that, there are 3 pointing back at you. Instead of that, maybe you could take a minute and ask yourself this question. What did I do to get stabbed?
Talks about how he got stabbed.
Need 2 bathroom doors. Is this all the spackle you have? That no holds barred fight. We all get to that crazy place, man. Let's and people that say this crack me up. Oh, our relationship ended fine. You lying bastards. Really? No relationship ends fine. The only reason people say it ended fine was because whatever they did to each other in that last fight, they could still be prosecuted. The statute of limitations has not run out yet.
Exactly.
The story I'm about to tell you bears no resemblance to anyone living or dead, no matter what my ex's attorney may say. And I want you to know this is my side of the story. If you want to go see her side of the story, when she writes a fun little show and builds a big freaking set, you go fucking see her too, okay?
Tell me if there's a lot of likeness to Johnny right now.
And one more thing I want to be clear about. I know who I am. I am just a very thin layer of charming with some funny sprinkles wrapped around a huge, creamy center of raging, arrogant a-hole. I got it.
He's an idiot, but amazingly self-aware.
When a relationship is going bad, there are signs. People start acting different. She was talking to me different. Like, hey, honey, what do you think of this shirt? I think that shirt has sucked the joy from my life and enslaved me in a loveless marriage. Do the pants give you hope? And she was sleeping with our kids more than she was sleeping with me, which is just a bizarre conversation to have. I see every time I brought it up, I felt creepy, you know? Like, what do they give you that I don't? It was just odd. So I finally got mad after the 10th time, and I walked in. I said, listen. I said, we need to talk. I don't know what's going on. We've been married a long time. We're going to work this out. I want to talk about it. She said, no, I don't want to talk about it. And she was with the kids. And I said, no, we're talking about it tonight. And she sat up and went, and I thought, something's wrong. So I picked her up and not in a right across the threshold way. I get carried away from the kids, put her in another room, and I on the bed. I said, listen, we need to talk. And at that point, my daughter comes running in. Daddy, Mommy, don't fight, don't fight. And I did not want my daughter to see us fight. I remember watching my mom and dad fight, you know. My dad holding the chair, my mom swinging the axe. So I put her back in the room, and I closed the door. My ex runs behind me into the kitchen. I hear this crash, and I don't know what the hell happened. I run into the kitchen, and she's got a knife this long, and she's going, come on! And I think, we skipped some levels. And here's the situation. She's 5'2", I'm 6'2". I wear it by double, and I trained martial arts for a long time. So my first thought was, well, I'm in Lord of the Rings fighting a hobbit. So I took the knife away, I put it on the ground, I said, listen, we need to talk. Yeah, which is the perfect response to somebody pulling a knife on you. You're going to be very helpful in the alley, Captain Negotiation. At that point, my daughter comes running out again. Daddy, Mommy, don't fight. And now I'm feeling horrible. And my daughter and I have been reading these Dr. Seuss books. So I was trying to take the edge off it, so I tried to rhyme it. Like, honey, go back in your room, read a book, turn the page, or Mommy and Daddy psychotically rage. Go, come on. At that point, my ex jumps on my back and not in a give me a piggyback way. And starts going, wham, wham, wham. So I grab her hand, I grab her butt, I carry her down the stairs, and I put her on the couch, and I go, listen! We need to talk. Yeah, it sounds stupid to you, doesn't it now? Yeah. Then she stood up and went, I wish you would kill yourself like your mother and your sister did. Grumpy, right? And that was that switch moment. You know that switch moment? I looked at it, I was like, wow, did you just say that? Because if that's what you said, then you are not my ice cream truck.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like an astronaut, because this is definitely not outer space. And I went upstairs and I went to bed. Yeah, again, the perfect response to somebody wishing you were dead and pulling a knife on you. Now you're safe under the ballistic protection of the down comforter. Dead man sleeping! But she didn't kill me. Get up the next morning, meet in the kitchen, we kind of have this weird, tense talk. We work it out. Crazy. We go to dinner every night that week. We talk about it. We work it out. She drops me off at the airport to my next gig the next Friday. I love you. I love you too. I get to my gig in Texas. Try to call and talk to the kids. Nobody there. Try to call her phone. Nobody there. So we had identity theft a year earlier. A bunch of money had disappeared. Identity theft.
That sounds like Amber.
Turns out I knew the person's identity. They had pulled a knife on me recently. And I had changed all the email accounts, and I'd given her password, and she hadn't changed it. So on a lark, I went in, and I wish I hadn't. Because I found an email that was sent the night before. It was to her old boyfriend about her new boyfriend. And the email said that the guy was in my house with my kids at 11:30 the night before, and the email was sent at 5:04 in the morning. And I had to show her doing an hour and 5 minutes. Yeah, let's see how funny you really are, bastard. Come on. I don't remember the first show. I got on stage, got off stage, went to the green room at the comedy club, and I was like, wow, 15 years of marriage. I'm going to kill myself like my mother and my sister did. And I started looking for a gun because I was in Texas. I figured there's going to be a gun. But that's the mood I was in. I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter. 15 years gone. Okay, she can have everything. She can have money and the houses and the kids and the hot rods I built.
That's over the milk. Not rats. Come on, 3, 2, 1. I hate ads. I'm not fast before.
I need a good lawyer. So I went to the Yellow Pages. Because you're a genius. I filed for divorce. And I filed
In a minute,
I
darling.
filed a restraining order. I went to court that next Monday and I was righteous. I walked into court like a superhero. Your Honor, I no longer want to be married to the thieving harlot. Drop was right. She got up in front of the judge and went, Your Honor, this man has beaten me for the last 20 years and beaten the children since the day they were born. And it turns out, it's not a defense in California court.
Now tell me, does that not sound like what Johnny freaking did? Talk among yourselves, comment, and tell me what you think.